How's it going, guys? Josh one with ENC, and today we're going to show you how to install and break your chain to the correct length. So the RLV chain that I have here is a direct replacement for your stock RTR chain, or really any other 35 chain. The benefits to these are longer life, a little bit smoother, just a higher quality chain in general. That's why they're a little more expensive. Today we're going to show you how to install it on the bike. So the first thing I've done is removed the old chain from the bike. What I've also done is I've moved the wheel forward just a bit. So you can see my adjusters are relatively far forward. You have to remember, anytime you're installing a new chain, on the first ride or two, it's going to stretch. So we want to make sure that we have at least a little bit of axle adjustability to make up for that stretch. So now that we have the new chain installed on the bike, what I'm gonna do is make sure that I have two skinnier links next to each other on here. Remember, the master link's a wide link, so we need to make sure that we cut the chain so that there's two skinny links next to each other. What I'm gonna actually do is just lay it over. I can see this is where I need to break the chain. I'm gonna mark, just like that, which links I'm gonna grind down. So we know now that we need to break the chain at this link. So the reason that I marked two of these pins is that we need to actually be able to push both of them out because they're riveted to a single link. So if we were to try to just push one out, it's not gonna come all the way and we're gonna end up binding this link. So what we're gonna do is actually grind both of these and we're gonna press them out evenly so we can pull the whole thing out as one unit. So if you look closely at the chain, you'll see that each pin is actually peened and rounded over just a bit. That's what makes sure that the pin doesn't walk to the side one way or the other. In order to break the chain, we have to actually grind this peening off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grind the pin flush with the link. You do this a couple different ways. My favorite method is just to use my belt sander. You can also use a grinder, even a Dremel tool, possibly a file if you have a strong enough one. Just remember that these pins are hardened steel, so whatever you use to grind it down does have to be relatively tough. All right, now that I've got the pins ground flat, you can see that they're flat to the link itself. Also, another thing to keep in mind, when I was grinding the chain, I was making sure that I oriented it so that any of the shavings or the grinding material was going toward the part of the chain that I was cutting off, that I was not using. We don't want any of that grit and stuff getting inside the links of the chain that we're going to use. So something to keep in mind when you're doing that operation. So you notice as I'm breaking this chain that I'm not just cranking down on one pin. So I'm doing one pin a little bit, then I'm going over to the other pin and doing a little bit, then transferring back to the first pin. And the reason I'm doing that is if I try to just push one pin out, it's going to end up kinking this link and bending, and it could damage the chain that we're trying to use. So you want to do these evenly and push it evenly, and that way you'll be able to avoid any damage. Once you've kind of gone past the first part, and it shouldn't take a whole lot of force, you'll feel it push through and there won't be any resistance. At that point, you can just pop the link off. The chain's broken just like that. Now that we have the chain back on the bike, we're gonna install the master link. I'm gonna go in from the back like this. Now we're gonna put the plate on, just like that. And the last step, we need to make sure that we're putting our master link on the correct direction. So remember that your wheel is gonna be rotating this way. We wanna make sure that if this master link clip were to contact something, it's getting pushed onto the chain, not off. So if we were to put it on this direction, it could catch an edge here and pop the master link off and the chain could come off. So we're gonna make sure that we're putting the closed end forward in the drive direction. Clip it on, make sure that we're clipped all the way, and we're good to go. Now that our chain's on, our final step is to check the chain tension. We've shown in other videos how to do that. If you need a refresher, go check those out. Other than that, we're good to go. Again, important points, guys. Make sure that you're cutting the chain to the right length. It's a lot easier to cut more off the chain than it is to put more back on. It's actually impossible to put more back on. If anything, err on the side of a little bit long. Make sure that your wheel is not too far back in the adjusters when you cut your chain, because we want to make sure there's room for that initial stretch. So make sure you have at least half your adjustment left. And finally, make sure that your master link clip is on the right direction. That's super important. It's a huge safety thing. You do not want that popping off your chain. Other than that, go rip and enjoy.